Welcome to another episode of Comics, the podcast where me and my mom go through our comic book collection 2 issues at a time, and we've got a Flash comic here, number 304, and I picked it for the video game themed cover because it reminded me kind of a few episodes back of the Wonder Woman issue. If you remember, there was some kind of video game themed villain who had taken over a military base, and he had a weird like purple and blue robe and it looked like a Scream mask, kind of white face.
Now we have Colonel Computron.
This is Colonel Computron. He's also military and video game themed.
Of course.
Naturally, they go together.
The name of the game is Death.
Maybe it's because maybe the video game industry secretly got money from the military-industrial complex because they were like, if we can make war games, it'll encourage people to enlist in the military.
That explains Donkey Kong.
It's all connected, people. We're getting, this podcast is getting political. Donkey Kong, watch out. But yeah, I love the little 8-bit right angle version. This kind of doesn't really happen in the comic, unfortunately. I thought he was gonna get in a video game and have to run from these spaceships or whatever.
Kind of.
It's more like he becomes the Puck in Pong for 3 panels, and then that's it. I don't. Spoiler alert.
Fast Pong.
Well, he loses his speed power.
Do you ever
play
Pong?
The name of the game is Death. Yeah, of course. I think we had. Of course. Is there any other way? I think we had one of those vintage game consoles that had the little all-in-one that had Dig Dug and Pong and
Dig Dug.
Galaga, stuff like that. Pong is pretty fun though. It's not that fun. Anyway, so let's get started. I love the character design of Colonel Computron. You don't really get, they shroud him in secrecy here, but then the very next page you get a good full view of him.
And that's the real him.
That's
Look
him.
at those lips. He's all eye plate and lips.
I know. Technology has not figured out how to replace lips yet, but all other parts of his body are technology based.
8-bit everywhere but the lips.
This is basically
Ooh. What's happening?
They're flattening him out. They gave him a little belly. He's got 3 knees.
Oh, look at his toes.
I know. I love that. That's so weird looking.
Yeah.
So we get a little bit of the Flash's backstory. I'm not sure if we've done a Flash solo story. Have we?
I don't think so.
This might be the first one. So as you know, a bizarre experiment gave him his speed. I think lightning. Yeah, there we go. Lightning shattered a cabinet of chemicals.
Barry Allen.
And gave Barry Allen fast abilities. So in the Utopia Towers, where Barry lives with his partner, Fiona Webb, and they're visiting their neighbor Mac Nathan, and Mac has given his son this video game. It's called Captain Computron, and it looks like a little spaceship or something. I think it's a video game platform. It's they're talking about how all the kids love it. They're flying off the shelves. And Mac is saying, yeah, the CEO of the company that makes it sure is rich now because, everybody wants to buy one.
He's a fat cat.
He is a fat cat. He's got a very wrinkly head. And he goes to the barber. He says, give me MODOK's melting face, but I don't want the bangs. Just shave it all. He's even got a W. This guy's name is WW. It's Wiggins. I forget if it's Walter Wiggins or something like that. We'll see in a moment when they use his full name. But the funny thing about that is we cut to the video game company's headquarters where he has brought an employee into his office. He's like, that video game you made is so successful. I want to give you this gift as a sign of my gratitude. And he gives him an envelope full of money. A weird thing is this employee of him, his calls him WW. He says, yes, WW. Feelings around here, WW. Whoa. Yes, WW. It's WW is what, 6 syllables? Unless you say WW. wouldn't it just be shorter to say Wiggins, Mr.
Yeah,
Wiggins?
Mr. Wiggins.
If you're looking for economy of language, like usually when we shorten things to syllables, it's to save time or
Right.
enunciation. It seems a little silly. Maybe that's the point, is to be silly. Unfortunately, that envelope full of cash only had $99.95. I love the idea that he like got some change as well. It's like not quite $100, and he put it in there.
It's all in pennies.
So his wife, which kind of just looks like him in hair curlers, their facial designs are not that different. I guess they have different noses, but she's all like, they don't appreciate you, Basil. That guy's name's Basil.
Oh no, that's a bad sign.
And Sherlock Holmes or something. It's weird. It's a weird name to me. So she's like, Wiggins is racking up a fortune, making millions, and you the one that came up with the idea. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's a good way to make the villain somewhat sympathetic. We understand, everybody feels underappreciated sometimes. And so we get into the reason why he looks so smug, even though she's slamming the door and being like, why don't you stand up for yourself? I thought I married somebody with a spine, she says. He says, ooh, well, I'm an invertebrate. And no, she's like, poor Francine, she doesn't know my plan. He's got something. It doesn't matter that he only got $99.95 because he's got a plan to get what he feels like he deserves. Does it have to do with Captain Computron?
Maybe.
Of course it does. Because we go back to 11-year-old, I forget the boy's name, the Mac's son here, and his video game, which he just left on the middle of the floor.
Well, that's totally a kid thing.
That's accurate, actually,
yeah.
If your dad hasn't come in and stepped on your toys and gotten mad at you.
Are you really a kid?
Yeah. But out of this device emerges this robotic figure, which has kind of a different silhouette than Colonel Computron.
He's kind of got a slicing arm.
Yeah, well, his arms are longer and skinnier than I think they were in the other drawing, but he's becoming more real.
Fleshed out, okay.
And his dad wakes up. So Mac wakes up and he's like, oh no, what's going on? He rushes in, as you do, he grabs his handgun and bursts into his son's room because he hears beeping noises. And, he hears an explosion, the Flash does, because he's neighbors with Mac. So Barry Allen hears it, and the narration says, like, even before the explosion sound fully dissipates, he's hit the little costume ring device, and a spring ejects his costume. He jumps into it. I don't know if he, does he take off all his clothes, or does he just put it on over his clothes? I mean, you got to save time.
But he's Flash.
He's so fast, but even, what if? Everything takes a certain amount of time. Even if you're super fast, wouldn't you just put it on over just to save time? Because you never know how much time you need. So the explosion went off, the window's broken, the house is on fire.
Whoa.
But that's no problem if you're the Flash. First, he cuddles up to him. He's super fast. He's like, I'm going to take a moment just to give him a hug to make sure he's okay. And then he grabs the fire extinguisher and he in super fast succession puts out all the fires. And then by the time that Mac comes to and his son has figured out what's going on, he wakes up, Flash is already out of there. Which makes me think if superheroes, who knows if superheroes don't really exist? Because, what if you ever have something where something bad almost happens and then it gets corrected at the last moment?
And
what if that was the Flash and he just didn't stop to tell you? Yeah, what if you ever just feel like the Flash hugged you? You can't prove it?
You just feel really good.
Call our attorneys because we're doing a class action suit against Barry Allen. No, he runs because apparently that there were some highly charged electrons that were left by Colonel Computron because he uses electrical lines to travel. Because apparently, as when they invented computers and games, they made sure, we got to make them compatible with street lamps because they need to communicate. So he's traveling through there. Later on, he's like, this is where the trail ends. I guess the streetlight didn't explode my friend's apartment. Could you draw a picture of him? So he's drawing, he's describing the entity that came out of the video game so that maybe Barry can get to the bottom of it. Barry is a police scientist. He's not a policeman, he's a police scientist. And so he's working with authorities to figure it out. Meanwhile, he does take home the video game, Colonel Computron. He takes it home and super quickly takes it all apart, examines everything.
You think he's so fast that he could do that right in front of them? Just
That's true. It's like, why do you even need to take it home? He's super fast.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, like, I know he's superhumanly fast, but, like, is he also superhumanly precise? Because, like, I can do things that I'm really good at fast, but even I, like, from time to time, will, like, poke my finger or, like, knock something over. He's only human. How many times do you think he's doing something super fast and people have to be like, just do it at normal speed because you're screwing it up?
That explains a lot of people tripping. Have you ever just tripped on nothing?
Well, have you ever almost tripped and then you caught yourself? That might have been the Flash zipping by and saving you.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite panels in this comic.
That looks insane.
This guy calls up Barry Allen. He's like, we accidentally gave a version of that video game to Mac to give to his son. This is a salesman from the store. It was actually meant for Willard Wiggins, the son of Mr. Willard Wiggins himself. So the fat cat guy we saw before with the melting face, Willard WW. But this guy is clearly like sweating and his eyes look crazy.
Like he's melting.
So maybe, it's suggested that maybe Colonel Computron is making him do that because he wants this device. So Barry's like, I'll come down first thing tomorrow and we'll make the switch. I'll give you a regular video game. Barry, you give me the special one that was meant for Walter Wiggins.
Change out the motherboard or something?
Willard Wiggins. Something like that. Well, that's what this last panel says. He's like, I think that this is the component that made it act all weird. I don't know if at police scientist school you learn about, like, how you can sabotage video games by adding an extra device into them to make them come alive, but he seems familiar with it. He's like, yeah, that's the thing.
Gosh.
So he goes over to the Wiggins estate here. I think it has 27 rooms, they say. It's a multi-million-dollar Wiggins estate.
Jeez.
And the Kingpin, or Wiggins here, he kind of looks like the Kingpin.
He does.
He discovers that in his office is
a happy digital guy.
He does look pretty happy. I love how wide and like pyramid shaped he is.
Yeah.
It's a cool costume, like character design. I don't know if I call it a costume. I like that he says Colonel, and Colonel as in master of all those below me. Like,
and he's got a cigar.
That's Computron, as in Captain Computron, that marvelously ingenious toy your company recently bestowed upon the public. And Colonel, as in master of all the... It's like, you couldn't have been General Computron, or Admiral Computron, or like... Commander of Allied Forces Computron. You just pick Colonel, I guess. That's pretty cool. I guess Colonel, when I think Colonel, I don't know anything about ranks or anything, but I feel like Colonel should be smoking a cigar, so maybe that's why he picked it. The Colonel smokes a cigar.
Yeah.
So, anyway, they're having their confrontation, and he just picks him up. He's like, look, it's not that I just have this special suit. I'm also, like, super strong and stuff like that. So he tosses him across the room.
Mass.
This must be, of course, Basil that we saw earlier with the wife that's like, why don't you make enough money? Look for a better job. This Wiggins is exploiting you.
Gotcha.
So he has, Colonel Computron has two little buddies here, Blip 1 and Blip 2, that are like they're like Daleks or something from Doctor Who. And they're like, we're going to kidnap them. So they're kidnapped Willard Wiggins.
That's funny.
Just in time for the Flash to arrive late. He's fast, but he's not that fast.
He's fast, but not punctual.
No, he's a procrastinator. So he goes through and investigates the scene of the crime and spins himself really fast. He's like, it seems like a crime has happened here. I know, I'll spin like a top. It helps me think. No, I'm just kidding. So, just as I thought, a trail of charged electrons, just like the one I followed from Mac's apartment last night. But because of the time factor, they're even fainter. Meanwhile, at the Central City Coliseum, several miles away, Don't worry about those guards, WW. They'll revive in the morning without the slightest inkling of what hit them. You'll never get away with this, Computron. That's Colonel Computron to you. And so he's got like a gun. So I guess he's strong and he's got a battle suit, but he also uses guns. And his plan is to like punish WW by putting him in a video game.
I like these guys' little arms.
Yeah, they're like... I don't know what they're poking him just to keep him on his toes. I don't know.
Move it.
I guess they're like shackling him. They're holding his hands back. So you're going to find out what I mean firsthand. That is, after we make a few slight adjustments. Don't let him score in Blitz. And he's just about to shoot him with this transmogrifying ray when the Flash bursts in and takes the shot.
Dang it. Barry Allen.
I know, he even protects this guy who they make pretty unlikable.
Yeah.
And he gets sucked into the gun. It's not a gun that kills people. It sucks you in and transforms you. I would stop to read Penguins on Parade, but we have actually read this Hostess one before, so we'll have to skip this one. Into this weird lumpy version of the Flash.
Oh, no.
So, hazed, indecipherable moments later, the fastest man alive opens his eyes once more. The last thing I remember was being hit by that weird energy jolt. But something's not right here. I have the strangest feeling I'm not myself somehow. Suddenly, zooming in from nowhere, there's like a robotic figure we saw. Oof! The big game has just begun, Flash. No point in explaining the rules, because I'm sure a bright blip like you has already figured out the game is fixed, fatally fixed. And so I guess the little robot silhouettes throw him like a pong ball and ricochet him across the wall. I don't know. That's going to kill him, apparently. No, this can't be really happening. My body's been subjected to a host of weird transformations over the years. Some of them downright humiliating, but this is unthinkable.
Oh, no. What could be worse than being 8-bit?
Ask Mario. It's weird. What happened to his dang head there?
Yeah.
It's like it got indented from hitting the walls. His limbs are like bursting open.
Wow. Does he still have his speed?
I don't think so. They say something about that. Yeah, the powerful electromagnetic field in the grid screen has paralyzed your super speed. See, what happened, there's actually a scientific basis here. Your human form was molecularly disassembled to be converted and reassembled into living electronic impulses. It's as simple as that. So he's just going to bash the Flash's impulse form around until he dies.
Yeah.
But, of course something goes wrong with his master plan because the Flash is so used to controlling the speed of his molecules, and since this is a molecularly transfiguring thing, he's able to wiggle them just the right way to escape into this weird wiener dog form of the Flash. He's all stretched out for a moment. Meanwhile, Wiggins is tied up, and what would you know, just when the Flash comes back, Computron has disappeared. He used this transmitter, so he took his own molecules and transported himself to some hidden base somewhere. So the Flash is able to rescue Wiggins, but not capture. Who would it be? We are cutting right back to Basil and his wife. I'm wondering if this guy might have something to do with it. He either is Colonel Computron, or he created him and controlled him, or they might go in the direction. Spoiler alert: we don't get a resolution because this is the last page, but they might go in the direction where it's like it's his creation, but then he regrets it, and maybe it turns on him. Who knows? It might just be him in the suit.
Well, in this panel, he almost looks like that guy that was nervous.
Yeah, he kind of does.
So
I wonder, does his mouth line up with what we saw of Colonel Computron's poking out of that costume? He looks a little different, doesn't he? Yeah, it's hard to tell.
His lip, yeah.
He doesn't have giant white armor on.
He's got a white.
He does have skin around his mouth. So anyway, his wife is still kind of belittling him, but he's like, maybe it'll be. Oh, that's where they leave. This is somewhat ambiguous because maybe nothing, or maybe one of us has developed the hidden talents of a true Colonel Computron without telling the other. It's something to think about. Don't you agree, Cupcake? So it's almost like they're trying to say it could be either one of them. Like so maybe it will turn out to be his wife.
And she doesn't know.
But he's being pretty coy about it. It seems like it's probably him because he's being so like suggestive about it. But it's weird that they're trying to like make us wonder. I guess it's a cliffhanger. That's what they're supposed to do. We do get a B story from Firestorm, which I've never been
the Nuclear Man
huge fan, to be honest with you, of his character design and ideas. I think if I remember from Super Friends, Firestorm is when these two people combine. There's like a nuclear scientist or physicist or something, and he combines with this teenager, and they become the being Firestorm, the Nuclear Man. And it like uses the body of the younger guy, but he can like talk, like you know how like Obi-Wan
like a voice
is, like,
in his head
pops up. Yeah, he's like in the background.
And they fight werewolves.
This is the hyena, actually. Yeah, it looks like a werewolf, but this is the hyena. So this is the continuation. This is actually the end of a ongoing story. So we get to see him confront and stop the hyena from killing this woman. But we do kind of get a lot of backstory to catch it up. So even though we haven't read the previous one, we get to learn all about how the hyena became hyena-like. I know you were wondering. So
I'm curious.
These two are like, stop pillow fighting in there. They think all this noise is like two girls having a sleepover pillow fighting. And meanwhile, they come in. He says, come right in, Daddy dear. Bert, who are the people? Why did that person call you Daddy? Mother, not you too. I wanted to face him for years, but I can't face you. So, as you might guess, this hyena is actually a girl. It's their daughter.
What?
So, Firestorm stops and talks with the professor in his mind. And they're like, maybe we should give these parents this diary. They in the last issue, I guess, had obtained a diary of the hyena, the girl that becomes the hyena, which explains her backstory. And that's what most of this comic is. In the next panels, we get this idea of, like, she never felt like she fit in. She was, I think, an only child, and her dad wanted to have a son. And so she was forced to do all these sports and things that she didn't want to do. He was a cop, so she felt pressured to become a cop too, but she didn't really want to be. She ended up throwing it all away or just starting a new life because she realized it wasn't really who she was, even though she wasn't, going to be accepted by her parents. And so she joined the Peace Corps, and while she was in Africa, she got attacked by a were-hyena. So they have those hyenas of the African veldt. It's like the were-hyenas of the African veldt. I guess maybe that's part of like African mythology or something like that. But she gets bit. They kill the were-hyena like some safari guy does, but not before she gets infected. And the thing about her, she's not really villainous, the hyena, but because of her psychological issues with her parents, she is drawn to attack people in uniforms, particularly like cops.
Oh, no, cops, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's why she's doing crimes. She's not really like trying to rob a bank or like rule the world. She's just becomes, the full moon becomes the hyena, and the hyena loves killing cops.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, anything in a uniform, like
mail?
Little window washer guy, or like chimney sweeps, ice cream men,
elevator guy,
yeah, bellboy. So anyway, the other tragic part of her story, as they explain, is even though she turns in and she does these bad things, she's always held back from actually killing people. But nobody will believe her. They think that the hyena is some delusion, so they've taken her to like a mental facility, and like she's getting therapy, and everybody thinks it's some big delusion. You would think, seeing the giant hyena, like, how did she manage to hide it that long? Finally,
if you worked at a place where someone claimed to turn into a werewolf,
I would probably also ridicule them, to be honest. I mean, you would believe them? Like,
I would at least the first full moon.
Check on them.
Yeah, do some sort of
be
like
the first victim.
No, be like, extra cautious and make sure they're locked in or whatever. I mean,
what if they just start acting like it? They don't actually transform. They just start going woo, scratching around the walls and stuff. Would you still believe it?
Well, I mean, that would be different. But I mean,
what if you transformed into a werewolf, but you just you get the personality. You didn't get the hair or the claws. You didn't become beast-like. You lost your human mind, and you acted like a dog or a wolf or something in your human form.
Yeah.
That could be that could be a new angle for the Firestorm movie. So anyway, they finally understand their daughter, and they're like, "Oh man, I wouldn't have been such a jerk if I would have saved her from being a hyena that killed cops."
Aww.
So Firestorm has found the hyena in the meantime, and is trying to use like his matter manipulating abilities to like not hurt her, but like trap her. And she's about to, as they're fighting in the park, kill a cop. There's a mounted policeman here. But Firestorm is told by the professor, as long as he's in that uniform, he's going to be a symbol of her father. Take him out of the uniform. So he blasts him and it changes his clothes. I guess it gives him an ice cream cone. And there's really small text here that I put it right up to my face and I still couldn't tell what it says. But I think it says something human. So it almost looks like he has a little bow tie. It's like, did you give him the ice cream man uniform? That's still a uniform.
It's right.
And then she just rips him apart. Firestorm, I said, change his clothes.
Whipped cream.
I can only make them different types of uniforms. So anyway, he does save the police officer because she's stunned. Like, oh, I was about to kill you, but now that you're holding ice cream, I'm confused. It really does confuse hyenas when you do a switcheroo like that. And then she says, Daddy, Mommy, Sis. So I guess she's not an only child. I misremembered. That like stuns her enough to calm her down. She becomes her human form. That's pretty much the end. She's like, sorry we didn't believe you that you were a human-like hyena that ripped people apart. Maybe you should work on that. So they go home and Firestorm looms in the background. Just another day of being Firestorm.
I thought that you were going to say that his molecular power, like, cured her. But
the other thing I'm thinking is, like, if she hits people in uniforms, they keep saying that. Instead of saying, like, she's going specifically after policemen in uniform, I mean, Firestorm's wearing a uniform, technically.
Technically, that's
Which is
true.
weird because the word uniform also means, like, the same. And the idea of wearing a uniform is uniformity among several people. Yeah, superheroes have uniforms or costumes, but they're always unique. Unless they're the X-Men or something. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm stretching the meaning of that word a little bit. Anyway, I like the Flash a little bit better than Firestorm, but I like the were-hyena. That's a unique idea.
The were-hyena was cool.
You don't see those every day.
I like the way they drew it.
Unless you're out on the veldt.
The drawings were nice. I'm not going to the veldt.
Not anymore.
Alrighty.
What did you do this week? The Thing.
The Thing.
A great cover of The Thing.
Isn't it,
He's
though?
about to punch you.
I like the continuity with the blue and his baby blues.
I like having no background, too.
Yeah.
Makes you really focus
Jumps
on the
right out
orange
at
and
you.
black contrast. It's really cool.
Yeah. I love his face here in the little side panel.
I know, his little jaw. His mouth is one long line. I like the simplicity of that.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
He has very bulldogish, too, with his eyes and his brow and stuff, and his flat-looking face.
Yes.
Small nose.
He gives good side eye. So you have this big empty void of a cover, and then you go in.
I love that
Stanley
font.
presents Mindscape.
Disco Mindscape.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a John Byrne comic, a famous writer of X-Men, right? He did a lot of I think he did the Dark Phoenix saga and all that. I'm pretty sure that's the guy.
So you open it up, and the whole thing is really dark. And you've got Ben Grimm. You start out with Ben Grimm. And he's wondering, where am I? What the heck's going on? I love the dialogue.
They always got to drop his G's.
Uh-huh.
He didn't do too much book learning to know. He's from the streets.
And he's
Yancey Street.
I'm Ben Grimm. And right away, that ain't the way of things. So he doesn't know what's going on. He's remembering.
Being punched a lot. Remember when Wonder Man punched me?
I just spent about an hour getting punched out by a bunch of folks I thought was my pals.
I like these little spit lines in his open mouth.
Yeah.
He remembers all the times his friends beat him up.
So he's here thinking, what's going on? And then you hear Grimm. I'm coming for you, Grim.
Ooh.
I'm your death, and I'm coming for you. No! And who is it?
The Master?
Can you tell who this is?
Is it the Puppet Master?
Yes.
It is?
But wait till you see him. He's like, Master?
I don't remember him wearing a green jumpsuit like that.
Uh-huh.
Is he trying to rebrand as the Master? He's like, I don't want to emphasize the puppetry so much. It's kind of lame.
He
I'm the
goes,
Master.
but your death is not going to be an easy one, Grim. Oh, no. And he is so
Well, he
obnoxious.
dates the Puppet Master's daughter, right? Alicia Masters is the Puppet Master's daughter, the blind sculptress.
He goes, I owe you too much to let you die easily. Too much pain. Too much frustration. You've been a constant thorn in my side for many, many years, Ben Grimm. I'm going to savor this moment. I'm going to make it last and last and last.
Jeez.
Yeah. So he's goading him on. And
punching him just like everyone else does.
Punching him.
Ooh, it's a creepy little puppet face. I like that they make the Puppet Master look like he could be a puppet.
Yeah,
he likes puppets so much he wants to be one.
Creepy.
He could like put those little lines on his mouth and be like a ventriloquist dummy.
Oh yeah, yeah. So you have what's going on here and what you find out, and he goes through the backstory here.
Do you think he gets his eyelashes done?
Definitely. Those brows. So he teamed up with Dr. Doom, and they made this radioactive clay to where he was, that's why he was being beaten up and fighting people he knew. He was controlling people. And but Doom was thrown into a coma of suspended animation. And Reed Richards judged it safe to take Doom back to your headquarters. Gosh, these drawings are insane. This
I know,
is just
I love those facial
creepy.
expressions. He's so intense. Oh, he only gets more intense.
I know.
His smile's just going to start getting bigger. His eyes are going to get bigger in every panel.
Look how they do his eyelashes. It's creepy.
That's such a cool panel layout, too, where he's like getting thrown around in front of his face like that.
So, and what Richards did not realize was that the transferal system had trapped both Doom and the Puppet Master in the tiny robot forms that they had used to enter the village. What they did, they took control of them and they made this like tabletop village, and they put the heroes in there and they were fighting, and they went in there and they're trapped in there. So the Puppet Master and all the populace of that little town turned on Dr. Doom, as a crowd will.
Hair or a hat?
Both.
Maybe. hat full of hair. He also looks like he's got his turn locked on. He's like came from the beat poetry reading. First the reading, then I will get grim. He's playing bongos.
They stone Doom, and that's where he takes over using his radioactive clay, and that's where he gets his body from. Is what this whole story goes. So that's why the Puppet Master is so
I love this drawing of Doom ripping up the castle. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. I love this drawing too, where he hits him and Ben just tumbles.
I like how I think he has more teeth than normal people have. That is a lot of teeth.
And they're all like
hyperdontia.
Ooh, yeah, that's gross. They're very 3D.
I know, it's like the bottoms of his teeth are protruding from his gums. It's gross looking.
Yeah, yeah. And so what they're fighting in Ben Grimm's mind. Now, what do we know about the Thing?
He's not smart.
Not only that, but he spends a lot of time in his own mind.
Yeah, wishing he was a real person.
And fighting Ben Grimm himself.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, not Ben Grimm, but fighting the Thing.
Well, this is how he thinks of himself versus how he actually looks.
Right, right. And so he's like, that's why this place is familiar, but I didn't. So anyway, he survived, and he's radioactive. He's got Dr. Doom's body. That's why he's so powerful. And of course, like every bad guy in every movie, and oh God, he is creepy, that pumped. He has to explain himself over and over until...
I do like the white text on the black background. That's
Yeah.
an interesting look.
Yeah. And so he's always repeating himself, although I am power incarnate. Power incarnate!
You wonder how much of this stuff is like, we got to stretch it out a little bit. We got to get some good punches in there for the 12-year-old boys or whatever. Meanwhile, we'll just explain what happened in the last 2 issues so we don't have to write new story. You know what I mean? Like, They could have probably condensed this part, but it's got some good art. His nose is bleeding. You don't see the thing's nose bleed too often in its rock form.
And that's the only way. The only way. I mean, you got to give Puppet Master some credit. At least he knows that he can hurt Ben Grimm, the Thing. No, but Ben is just gotta ignore the pain, gotta get past it. Can't let him beat me. Can't let him go after Susie and Reed and Johnny. They're dependent on me to save them.
It's good that he matched his underwear to his boots and his gloves. White boots, white gloves, white underpants over the top. Just like a puppet.
Ew. And and he realizes that Ben Grimm can't stop him. Not Ben Grimm. Not Ben Grimm. There's a lot of
That's what I like about the Thing is, like, as much as he resents being the monster form, he needs it to have more of a positive impact on the world.
Look at this, man.
Oh, that's awesome.
Only
that makes
the Thing!
All the build-up worth it.
Yes.
That's cool.
Oh, my gosh. I love that panel. I thought.
Meanwhile, the Thing's head, he's having the stupid, sexy Flanders thoughts about Puppet Master's skin-tight suit. Stupid, sexy Puppet Master. Punches him.
Ew.
Look how his 2 teeth are like conjoined. There's no line between those.
His eyebrows just get me.
It's like he got teeth implants or something.
Yeah, that's...
It's like, give me dentures on top of my normal teeth.
Then you have Punch and Juicy, the most innocent little balloon or gum bubble ever.
See, I would never have gotten that as a kid because there's the Punch and Judy, right? Or like English
the
puppets or whatever. I never would have known that, but now that I'm older, I know it.
Punch and Juicy.
Also, it looks like the gum is bleeding.
Or throwing up.
Maybe both. It's throwing up blood.
An explosion of juicy flavor.
I'm made of blood. I'm a blood bubble.
So,
Ooh, his bulging head in that panel.
Yeah. I love this how, it says, suddenly the tables are turned. It is no longer a soft, vulnerable human with whom the Puppet Master contends. It's a raging, rocky monster. And the touch of his rough, sandpaper hide burns against the Puppet Master's skin. That's awesome. And I love this. He's got the spit lines again. So does Ben or does the Thing not have teeth?
No. I think the Puppet Master stole him. He's wearing his dentures.
Give me up. This is great.
It would be, now that you mention it, it would look weird if the Thing had teeth. I feel like his character design works better with just like a open mouth.
Yeah,
like
I do
that.
too.
It makes him more cartoony.
I like the way his eyes are completely round like that too.
Yes.
And so he hits him again. He goes, "You screwed up, Master." The Thing's voice.
Damn, he went flying.
You almost had me on the ropes for sure. Could have beat me. Could have killed me. But that wasn't enough for you. You had to humiliate me.
He's
had
very
to make
sensitive.
me suffer.
Just like the movie producer,
Remember?
episodes back, his whole plan was to embarrass the Thing.
Yep. And it's almost like Hulk-like in a way, to where you piss off the Hulk, he's going to turn, and it just solidifies. With embarrassment, exactly.
The Thing is like the Hulk, but instead of anger, it's shame. He feels embarrassment and shame.
I love his eyes here. They really make his eyes look like they're burning right through you.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
That little rectangular nose too. That's funny. I like that.
And the way that they shaded it so it's kind of like a little button nose. Yeah. It's cute. He goes, "But you forgot one thing, didn't you?" The rage is great in here. "You forgot one very important thing."
Is it clobbering time? Is that what he's just said? Mr. T
Mr.
says
T.
it's clobbering time.
And so here we go, where he's
That's a
talking
great
about it.
drawing.
He goes, you brought this fight into my own head, into the one place in the whole world that I'm free of being the thing, free of being the ugly orange monster. But you made me hurt too much, Puppet Master. You made me hurt so much that suddenly being the thing wasn't so bad. Suddenly it was better than hurting, better than dying.
I think they gave the background guy the month off. Like, we'll have it happen all inside of his subconscious so we don't have to draw any backgrounds for this issue. I do love the art.
And he thanks him. Thank you, Puppet Master. But not just now.
Just decks him.
Slam.
So is he really hurting him, or is this like a
No, he's like,
mental
no,
form of the
no
Puppet
more.
Master?
I will
I
not
like
be
the
beaten
blue
my...
letters.
Yes.
Perfect.
My plan was perfect. He's like, come back here.
They're just flying.
Come
through
back
the
and
void.
take a taste of your own medicine. I love how he grabs him. He's trying to get away.
There's nothing for him to throw him into. It's just a big empty void.
Yeah. And it says here, if a vast weight has been lifted from mind and soul, for years he's hated the thing, hated the monster fate had made him. Now he's still trying to get away. He's forgetting that I'm in control here now. The thing's in charge now. I love how he just comes to terms.
Yeah.
Comes to terms with,
Well, it makes it more about
this is great.
character development instead of just beating people up every time.
Right. And there's no escape, Puppet Master. And you're inside my head, remember? You're hey, what? And before his astonished eyes, the image fades. And suddenly there's only darkness once again.
That's cool.
And so he rips through, and he resists it.
I like his
in
big
the only
fingers.
way he knows.
3 big fingers.
Yeah. He fights it. Fights the living darkness. I like how they took those feelings that he had and the despair that he had and made it into the darkness, and he's fighting his
Oh, yeah.
out of his own prison.
It makes it more visceral.
But then he comes out and everything, he looks around and everything's been destroyed as if...
He was doing that the whole time?
Yeah. And he goes, I never guessed, never realized.
I killed 60 people. Whoops. Ruined everyone's homes and businesses. Well, at least I know who I am now. I love his expression in this panel.
For being a rock monster, they put a lot of you feel.
Yeah, that's what makes him so iconic. I think is it's minimal design, but they get so much mileage and expressiveness out of such little.
Yeah, that masterful drawing. But look at this.
Whoa! So he was physically doing all that while he was trapped in his mind. He was like acting all of that out and broke all that stuff.
And the battle carried the thing several blocks, and now he recrosses that distance. But this time, he walks a straight line, uncaring of what lies before him.
That's why they give the background guy the day off, because he's like, just work on this all month. You don't need any backgrounds before that splash page.
Crazy.
That's really cool. So much detail and all the windows and...
all those rocks and boulders and cars and people.
That's awesome. Yeah, what would you think if you saw this thing like sleepwalking, just punching everything and freaking out? I'm so glad I don't live in Marvel's New York City.
Jeez. And we're not done yet. We are not done yet. And then, I see you, Masters. You can't run away from me now. And what he had done is he took that radioactive...
Oh, no. He made himself into a thing?
But I can change my form again. Change my form 100 times, 1,000. And whatever I become, whoever I become, I will control. Think of it, Ben Grimm. You now have 1,000 enemies, 1,000,000. Because what he can do is control the thing and make everyone hate him, which is what would make the
I
Puppet
think they
Master
probably already
very...
do after that.
Oh, after that.
Or are they suggesting the Puppet Master did all that wreckage? Oh, I see. He's going to tarnish his good name.
And somehow that linked us. Oh, yeah, here we go. You can't... Okay, it's a little blurry here. You can't, can ya? You can't change form because you got too deep inside my head. Forced me down into all kinds of stuff. Never wanted to face. Oh, I like how dark he is and how set he is and his... Like, he knows. He's
like
reached
his brow
a point.
got wider between the panels.
Maybe it could flare. Instead of flaring his
Those are
nostrils,
his
he
eyebrows.
flares his... And somehow that linked us, Puppet Master. Somehow, even though you ran away, tried to get out of my head, we're still together, still linked mentally. You made me accept that I'm the thing. Made me face up to something I ain't never really faced before. And somehow that locked you in this form. Locked you as the thing, too. So it's you and me together. Creep.
Oh, he makes them crumble. He uses his words.
Yes, yes. So inside the radioactive clay, the Puppet Master's mind becomes a tiny, clawed creature, terrified, screaming to get free. Failing.
Ooh, it's
The
gonna give him a headache.
telepathic scream burns through Ben's mind, ripping a horrible, fevered pitch. Rising to a horrible fevered pitch, fading, and he crumbles. Next, Goody Two Shoes.
I like that font. That is a cool ending, though. It's kind of like, after all that punching and action and like the crazy fighting in his consciousness and the big cityscape, it kind of has like a quiet ending.
Yeah,
It's
look how
interesting.
smug he looks as the
I
thing.
know. Evil. It reminds me
Ooh.
of when there's the Gray Hulk. That's like the
yeah.
mobster Hulk or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
But wasn't
was a great
cool?
issue.
Yeah, that was a great story.
Good old Q-Bird on the back there. We see plenty of him.
I love the thing. It's like, I don't know, it's like the Hulk. You're drawn into that self-hatred part, I think, because it's something that we all deal with, the voices in our heads and self-doubt.
Well, it's the Hulk
and,
who can't turn back to normal, and he's a New York streetwise kind of guy. You know, that's an
Right.
interesting mixture. He's not just, you know, I'm walking here. I'm the thing. Get some New York pizza. The Hulk, more non-regional.
yeah.
No, I love the Thing though. It's like the Hulk with a little bit more of a cool personality. He's
yeah.
a little more relatable on a personal level, I think.
And the fact that he, is so colloquial in his speaking, he's always I ain't got.
No, he's not a scientist.
But he's
a scientist of the streets.
He's a pilot.
He's a pilot of the streets.
You have to
Yancey
be
Street.
smart to be a pilot, especially of rockets and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. He doesn't get a chance to pilot that much. I remember the one time he fought Sasquatch, he got to pilot that little hovercraft.
yeah.
We need more pilotry from him.
Yeah, we do.
Maybe he could do Thunder over Louisville.
The Thing is back.
He's with the Blue Devils. Or the Angels? I can't remember. The Blue Angels. Yeah, well, maybe he'll do the Blue Devils. Well, anyway, if you liked this, if you made it this far, we'd love to see you comment or make some suggestions, and thanks for watching.